The sensor array flickered with an anomaly that shouldn't exist. Aelith adjusted her feathered crest and leaned closer to the display. 3 decades of monitoring the galactic border had never produced readings like these. The energy signature was massive, concentrated, and moving with purpose through the designated neutral zone. "Run full spectrum analysis," she ordered, her talons clicking against the console. The junior technician complied immediately, his 6 eyes widening as the data populated across multiple screens. "Commander, the signature matches no known vessel classification," he reported. "Power output exceeds our largest dreadnoughts by a factor of 12. Aelith felt her primary heart skip. In all her years managing Council Station 47, nothing had ever registered such threatening potential. She initiated emergency protocols, broadcasting alerts across secure channels to Council headquarters. Within minutes, holographic representatives from 24 species materialized in the command center. Security Chief Horan appeared first, his mandibles clicking with agitation. The insectoid warrior had served the Council's defensive forces for 60 years. His compound eyes could process tactical data faster than most species' computer systems. "Explain this interruption," he demanded. "Unknown vessel detected at sector boundary." Aelith transmitted the scan data directly to all present. "Classification impossible, weaponry significant, origin point traced to—" She paused, rechecking the information. "Earth." The chamber erupted in confused chatter. Earth had joined the Galactic Council only 18 months prior. Their application had been carefully reviewed. Extensive surveys confirmed they possessed minimal military capability. A handful of patrol vessels for asteroid mining protection, some defensive satellites around their homeworld, nothing remotely approaching warship status. Ambassador Patricia Walsh's hologram shimmered into existence. The human diplomat looked as confused as everyone else. "Commander Aelith, there must be some mistake," she said carefully. "Earth has no military vessels of that classification. Our entire Space Force consists of survey ships and cargo transports." "Scans do not lie," Horan interjected sharply. "Your species has deceived the Council. This constitutes grounds for immediate expulsion and sanctions." Patricia's face paled. "I assure you I have no knowledge of any secret military program. Let me contact Earth immediately." Aelith watched the human ambassador's fingers move frantically across her communication device. The lag time between Council space and Earth meant real-time conversation was impossible. Messages traveled, but responses took minutes, sometimes hours depending on relay efficiency. "The vessel is adjusting course," the junior technician announced, "heading toward Council territory." Horan's mandibles spread aggressively. "Deploy intercept ships, prepare warning protocols. If humans have militarized in violation of membership terms, we must respond with overwhelming force." 3 Council security vessels broke from nearby patrol routes, converging on the unknown ship's projected path. They were well armed by Council standards, equipped with disable and contain weaponry designed to stop pirates and smugglers without destroying valuable cargo. Against the readings they were seeing, Aelith wasn't confident they would prove adequate. Renick, her analytical assistant, emerged from his environmental tank. The amphibious being's skin changed colors as he processed information, a sign of deep concentration. "Commander, I'm detecting inconsistencies in the scan data." "Explain," Aelith commanded. "The vessel's energy signature suggests active weapon systems, but there's no targeting lock, no aggressive posturing. The course adjustment appears calculated to avoid populated shipping lanes, not intercept them." Patricia looked up from her device, desperation evident in her expression. "Earth Command is responding. They're accessing deep files, something about classified defense initiatives. I don't understand." The unknown vessel suddenly broadcast an identification signal. Aelith's feathers stood on end as the data streamed across her console. Authentication codes she'd never seen, predating human council membership by decades. Ship designation appeared in stark text. UHSF Perseverance, Deep Space Patrol Vessel. UHSF, Horan repeated. United Human Space Force, your species maintains a military organization you concealed from Council review. I didn't know, Patricia protested. This isn't in any civilian database. Earth's government submitted complete records during our application process. The Perseverance transmitted again, this time including a brief message. Aelith read it aloud. Responding to distress beacon at Coordinates 479 Alpha. Stand aside or be classified as hostiles. Council security is interfering with emergency rescue operations. Confusion rippled through the assembled representatives. Aelith immediately checked her station's monitoring logs. There, buried in weeks of routine data, was a distress signal on an obsolete frequency, the kind of emergency beacon most species had stopped using centuries ago. The signal originated from the Void Range, a dangerous sector filled with ancient debris and unexplained energy fluctuations. Pull up missing vessel reports, she ordered. Rennick's colors shifted to urgent orange. Commander, 3 months ago, a Council survey team disappeared near the Void Range. 6 crew members from 3 species, officially declared lost to navigational error. The pieces connected in Aelith's mind. A distress beacon on an ancient frequency, a human warship responding with obvious urgency, a survey team everyone assumed was dead. They're alive, she whispered. How did humans detect a signal we missed? Horan demanded. Patricia's device chimed. She looked at the message, then at everyone present. Earth Command is transmitting now. They're saying, she paused, reading carefully, that UHSF maintains deep space monitoring networks in regions Council species consider too dangerous for routine patrols. They've been tracking threats along our borders for years, responding to situations we never knew existed. Impossible, Horan snapped. We would have detected military operations of that scale. Not if they didn't want you to, Patricia said quietly. Earth apparently kept this program classified specifically because we feared it would disqualify us from Council membership. But they couldn't abandon rescue and monitoring duties, even for diplomatic advancement. Aelith made a decision that would likely end her career. Recall our intercept ships, she commanded. If the Perseverance is responding to our people in distress, I will not interfere with rescue operations regardless of political complications. You exceed your authority, Horan warned. Perhaps, Aelith acknowledged, but I serve the Council's ideals, not just its regulations. If humans have the capability to save lives we cannot, then I choose to trust that capability. The Perseverance accelerated toward the Void Range. Its weapon systems remained active but not targeting Council vessels. Aelith wondered what kind of threats required that level of firepower for a rescue mission, and why humans seemed prepared for dangers the rest of the galaxy preferred to ignore. Captain David Rodriguez studied the tactical display with practiced efficiency. 15 years commanding deep space patrols had taught him to recognize threats before they materialized. The 3 Council security ships trailing his position weren't hostile yet, but their weapons were charged and tracking systems active. Maintain current speed, he ordered. Navigation, calculate optimal approach vector through the debris field. I want us in and out before those defense platforms fully activate. Aye, Captain, his navigator responded. Plotting course now. Recommend we use the larger fragments as cover. Sensors show multiple automated systems powering up throughout the sector. The Perseverance shuddered slightly as her engines pushed harder. David had commanded this vessel through situations that would terrify most Council species. The ship was built for exactly these circumstances. Heavily armored, redundantly shielded, and carrying enough firepower to handle threats that emerged from the dark spaces between stars. His communications officer looked up from her station. Captain, Council security is hailing us again. They're demanding we stand down and submit to inspection. Open channel, David instructed. This is Captain Rodriguez of UHSF Perseverance. We are responding to a legitimate distress signal from Council personnel. We will not delay rescue operations for bureaucratic procedures if you wish to observe. Maintain safe distance. If you attempt interference, we will defend our right to save lives. He closed the channel before they could respond. There would be consequences for this. Earth's diplomatic team would face difficult questions, but David had sworn an oath when he joined the Space Force. No one gets left behind. Politicians could sort out the complications after survivors were safely recovered. Captain, incoming transmission from Council Station 47, his communications officer reported. It's the station commander. She's requesting permission to observe our rescue operation. That was unexpected. David considered the request carefully. Having council witnesses might actually help Earth's position. Demonstrate that UHSF operations focused on preservation rather than aggression. Grant. Permission, transmit safe distance parameters. Advise them our tactical situation is fluid, and we cannot guarantee their safety if they enter the debris field. Two blips on his display altered course, moving to a high observation position. David noted that one of the Council security ships continued to shadow them more closely, probably that aggressive security chief his briefing files mentioned. Horan, a species that respected strength and suspected weakness. We're approaching the void range perimeter, his tactical officer announced. Sensors detecting active defense platforms, arbiter technology, thousands of years old but still fully functional. David had studied reports about the arbiters, a civilization that destroyed itself in a civil war so devastating it sterilized a dozen star systems. They'd left behind automated defenses to ensure no one else could claim their territory. Most species gave these regions wide berth. Humans had different priorities when lives were at stake. Defensive systems to full readiness, he commanded. Point defense. You'll have multiple incoming threats, prioritized by proximity and lethality. Don't waste ammunition on harassment fire. The crew moved with coordinated precision. Each member trained for scenarios like this. They'd pulled off 6 impossible rescues in the past 3 years, survived encounters with phenomena that had destroyed better-equipped expeditions. The key was adapting faster than threats could evolve. The first defense platform opened fire. Beams of concentrated energy lanced across the void. Perseverance's shields flared as they absorbed impacts. Point defense systems tracked incoming projectiles, destroying them milliseconds before collision. The ship shook but held steady. Platform hub identified, Tactical called out. Coordinates transmitted to weapons. Hold fire, David ordered, earning surprised looks from his bridge crew. I want them focused on us, full evasive pattern delta, make them commit their resources to tracking our movements. The Perseverance danced through the debris field, using fragments of ancient warships as cover, drawing fire away from the stranded survey vessel. David watched the tactical display as more platforms activated, forming a coordinated network that would overwhelm any ship attempting to fight through directly. Captain, I'm detecting the survey ship, sensors reported, bearing 273. Distance 40,000 kilometers, life signs confirmed, 6 beings alive but weak. Relief flooded through David. They'd made it in time. Maintain evasive course, get us within transport range, prepare medical teams for immediate deployment. His communications officer interrupted. Sir, Council observer is hailing. They're asking why we haven't destroyed the defense platforms. David smiled grimly. Tell them we're professionals, not vandals. These platforms are archaeological treasures. If we can avoid destroying ancient technology while saving lives, that's what we do. Platform Hub is adjusting targeting priorities, Tactical warned. They're learning from our evasion patterns. Then it's time to stop dancing, David decided. Weapons, surgical strike on the hub's primary processing nodes, disable their coordination without destroying the entire network. Show them what precision looks like. The Perseverance's main cannons spoke. Concentrated bursts of kinetic and energy weapons struck with devastating accuracy. The platform hub's coordinated targeting collapsed. Individual units continued firing, but their effectiveness dropped dramatically. The path to the survey ship cleared. "Breach team, deploy," David commanded. "Full exosuits, hostile environment protocols, extract those people and get them to medical. You have 20 minutes before platform backup systems restore coordination." He watched his team launch in armored suits, moving through vacuum with practiced ease. They reached the damaged survey vessel, cutting through compromised sections to reach survivors within 15 minutes. 6 weak but living beings were being carried back to Perseverance. The Council observer transmitted again. This time the message came from the station commander herself. "Captain Rodriguez, your actions today have raised significant questions about human military capabilities, but they have also demonstrated remarkable courage and skill. On behalf of the Council, thank you for saving our people." David acknowledged the transmission, then turned his attention to a new problem. His sensors officer had detected something troubling. "Captain, that central structure in the debris field, it's powering up in response to our combat activity. Energy readings are exponentially higher than the defense platforms." "Analysis," David demanded. "Unknown, but whatever it is, it's been dormant for millennia. We just woke it up, and sir, I'm detecting a signal. It's transmitting on multiple frequencies, some kind of mathematical pattern." David felt cold certainty settle in his gut. They'd come here to rescue 6 people. They might have just triggered something that threatened millions. The Arbiters had left more than defense platforms. They'd left a message, and someone had been trying to activate it. Rennick's skin shifted through a cascade of colors, each hue representing a different analysis thread running through his enhanced neural network. The mathematical pattern broadcasting from the Arbiter structure matched fragments in Council intelligence databases, fragments that had worried analysts for the past year. "Commander Aelith," he transmitted urgently. "This signal corresponds with unauthorized probe attempts detected along our border systems. Someone has been testing our defensive responses using similar mathematical protocols." Aelith felt her flight feathers bristle with alarm. "Are you suggesting the survey team was bait?" "The probability is significant," Rennick replied. "Their mission parameters brought them directly to this location, ostensibly to investigate academic rumors about Arbiter technology, but those rumors originated from untraceable sources." Aboard the Perseverance, David watched his rescued survivors receive medical treatment. The survey team leader, a crystalline being named Shath, had regained enough strength to provide preliminary information. His faceted body refracted light in patterns that indicated deep distress. "We were told the mission was routine," Shath explained, his voice resonating through a translation device. "Council Science Directorate received credible information about Arbiter systems reactivating. They wanted first-hand observations. We had no indication of danger beyond standard navigation hazards." David's medical officer, Lieutenant Sarah Kim, checked Shath's vital readings before nodding permission to continue questioning. "Did you activate anything when you arrived?" David asked. "Trigger any systems?" "No," Shath insisted. "The defense platforms activated autonomously when we entered the debris field. We attempted retreat, but our engines were damaged. We've been trapped here for 3 months, surviving on emergency rations and hope." David's tactical officer interrupted. "Captain, that central structure is still powering up. I'm also detecting multiple ship signatures emerging from hyperspace at the sector boundary. Configuration unknown, approximately 70 vessels." "Display," David commanded. The tactical hologram populated with new contacts. His experienced eye immediately recognized military formation. These weren't traders or explorers. This was a fleet preparing for coordinated action. "Analysis, what are we looking at?" "Vessel design doesn't match any known Council species," his tactical officer reported. "Energy signatures suggest heavy armament. They're positioning themselves between us and Council space, blocking retreat vectors." Commander Aelith received the same data aboard her observation ship. She immediately contacted Council headquarters, bypassing normal channels to reach the Emergency Defense Committee. "This is Commander Aelith. We have a developing crisis. Unknown fleet detected. Potential hostile intent. Requesting immediate military response." The committee chairman, an elderly diplomat from a species that hadn't fought a war in 3 centuries, responded with bureaucratic caution. "Commander, what evidence suggests hostile intent? Have they made threatening gestures?" "They're blocking escape routes and surrounding a rescue operation," Aelith snapped, her usual diplomatic restraint cracking under pressure. "What more evidence do you require?" "We must follow proper protocols," the chairman insisted. "Unauthorized military action could provoke conflict where none exists, attempt communication, determine their intentions." Aelith wanted to scream. Generations of peace had made the Council forget that some species viewed kindness as weakness. "With respect, I recommend mobilizing defensive forces immediately. If I'm wrong, we can apologize. If I'm right and we wait, people will die." The unknown fleet began moving, not attacking but advancing with obvious tactical coordination. David recognized predatory behavior. These ships were herding, positioning prey before striking. "Communications, broadcast on all frequencies. Identify ourselves and request the unknown vessels state their intentions." Static filled the channel for several seconds. Then a voice responded, rough and mechanical, filtered through translation systems struggling with an unfamiliar language. "Human vessel, you interfere with salvage operations. The debris field and all technology within belong to us by right of discovery. Surrender or be destroyed." David's jaw tightened. "This is Captain Rodriguez. We are conducting authorized rescue operations for Galactic Council personnel. The survivors are not salvage. They are living beings under Council protection. Withdraw immediately." "The Council has no authority here," the voice replied. "This region is unclaimed space. We are the harvesters. We take what is abandoned, including your ship if you resist." Renick worked frantically from his position, analyzing every piece of data about these harvesters. His species' natural computational abilities processed patterns faster than most computer systems. "Commander, cross-referencing now. I'm finding correlation with resource depletion in 17 border systems over the past decade, always attributed to natural phenomena or mining accidents. But the pattern suggests systematic stripping of valuable materials." "They've been operating right under our sensors," Aelith realized. "Testing our responses, learning our weaknesses, that's what the probe signals were about." Aboard the Perseverance, David's crew prepared for combat they'd hoped to avoid. "Tactical, give me options," he demanded. "We're outnumbered 70-1, sir. Even with superior weapons, we can't engage that fleet and win. Recommend immediate retreat through the debris field. Use the arbiter platforms as cover." David considered the mathematics. His ship could probably break through the harvester line, take heavy damage but survive. But that would mean abandoning the investigation, leaving the activated arbiter structure for the harvesters to claim, and allowing a potential threat to Council space to develop unchallenged. "Captain," his sensors officer called out urgently. "The arbiter structure just transmitted a data burst. I'm recording, translating, sir. These are historical records, information about the arbiter civilization's fall, why they built this network. It's all here." "Summarize," David ordered. "The arbiters destroyed themselves fighting over resources. The final faction built these stations as warnings, meant to prevent other species from repeating their mistakes. But, sir, the records indicate the network was designed to be weaponized if necessary. Whoever controls the central hub controls enough firepower to devastate entire star systems." David understood immediately. The harvesters hadn't come just for salvage. They'd come to claim a weapon, one they'd been planning to use. "Against the Council. Communications, get me Commander Aelith. We need to coordinate. This situation just became a war." Ambassador Patricia Walsh stood in Earth's Defense Command Center, surrounded by military personnel who'd spent years operating in secret, protecting Council species who never knew they needed protection. Fleet Admiral Chen, a woman whose decorated career spanned 4 decades, reviewed tactical displays with grim determination. "How bad is it?" Patricia asked. "Perseverance is facing a fleet 70 ships strong," Chen replied. "Captain Rodriguez is one of our best, but no single vessel can hold against those odds. We have 6 other UHSF ships within potential response range, but even combined, we're looking at brutal combat." "Can they win?" Patricia pressed. Chen's expression hardened. "Define win. Can they destroy the Harvester fleet? Probably not. Can they delay them long enough for Council forces to mobilize? Maybe. Will it cost lives? Definitely." Patricia accessed her diplomatic channels, transmitting directly to Council headquarters. "This is Ambassador Walsh. I'm requesting emergency session with full Council assembly. Earth is prepared to share complete intelligence regarding the Harvester threat, but we need defensive authorization immediately." The response came from the same bureaucratic chairman who'd frustrated Commander Aelith. "Ambassador, such authorization requires extensive review. We cannot mobilize military forces based on unverified intelligence from a member species that concealed its own military capabilities." "People are going to die while you review protocols," Patricia said bluntly. "Earth maintained secrecy about UHSF specifically because we feared your idealistic leadership would reject practical security measures. Now that threat is manifesting, and you're proving our concerns justified." In the Void Range, David coordinated with Commander Aelith and Rennick, the 3 of them analyzing options while Harvester ships tightened their formation. "The Arbiter Hub can be activated," Rennick explained, "but only if we can access the central chamber and interface with their quantum network. Security protocols require biological authorization from multiple species, a safeguard against single-species control." "How many species?" David asked. "Minimum 3, representing different evolutionary paths, carbon-based, silicon-based, and crystalline structures." Rennick answered, "Fortunately, our rescued survey team includes all 3 types." Aelith's tactical mind processed the implications. "You're proposing we activate an ancient weapons network, use it against the Harvesters." "I'm proposing we use the Arbiter's own warning system the way it was designed," David corrected, "to stop species from making the same mistakes they did. The Harvesters are resource predators, exactly the kind of threat this network was built to counter." "And you trust human command of such power?" Aelith challenged. David met her eyes through the holographic link. "I'm not proposing human command. I'm proposing joint authorization. My crew, your personnel, and the survivors we just rescued working together. That's the only way this works. The Arbiters designed it that way deliberately." The Harvester Fleet Commander transmitted again, impatience evident in his mechanical voice. "Human, you have 60 seconds to surrender. After that, we take your ship by force and salvage what remains." David switched channels, addressing his crew. "All hands, prepare for hostile engagement. We're buying time for an alternative solution. Fight smart. Fight hard, but remember, we're not trying to win. We're trying to last long enough for help to arrive." He turned to his tactical officer. "Launch defensive drones, maximum dispersal pattern. I want them thinking we're more ships than we actually are. Then get us moving. Never stay still long enough for them to establish a firing solution." The Perseverance surged forward, weapons blazing, defensive systems intercepting incoming fire from multiple vectors. David's crew had drilled for scenarios exactly like this, fighting outnumbered against superior forces. The key was chaos. Make the enemy waste ammunition on false targets, force them to reposition constantly, create uncertainty. Harvester ships responded with overwhelming firepower, but their tactics were crude, designed for fighting weaker opponents who panicked under pressure. David's people didn't panic. They adapted, using the debris field as cover, luring enemy vessels into Arbiter defense platform firing solutions, turning the environment into an ally. "Hull breach on Deck 7, damage control reported. Sealing now, casualties minimal. Shield generators at 60%. engineering called out, redistributing power from non-essential systems. David watched the tactical display tracking harvester movements, noting patterns in their formation. They're converging on our position, preparing for a concentrated strike. Helm, full reverse thrust on my mark, make them think we're retreating in panic. His helmsman responded instantly. The Perseverance suddenly decelerated. Harvester ships accelerated to pursue, exactly as David predicted. Mark, full thrust forward right through their formation. Weapons, fire as we pass, target engines and command sections. The warship crashed through the harvester line, guns blazing at point-blank range, destroying 3 vessels and crippling 5 more before the enemy could adjust. It was a move that sacrificed defensive positioning for offensive impact, exactly the kind of desperate tactic the harvesters wouldn't expect from a cornered opponent. Meanwhile, Aelith led a team aboard the Arbiter structure, Renick and survivors from the survey team accompanying her. The interior was vast, ancient, filled with technology that still hummed with power after millennia of isolation. The central chamber is ahead, Renick guided, his skin colors shifting rapidly as he processed data streaming from Arbiter systems. Shath, the crystalline survey team leader, moved beside them despite his weakened state. I'll do whatever necessary to help. The harvesters left us to die. They would have claimed this technology and used it against innocent worlds. Stopping them justifies any risk. They reached the quantum network hub, a massive chamber where biological interfaces waited, designed for species long extinct. Renick worked quickly, adapting the systems to accept their different physiologies. Commander, you'll need to provide authorization as an avian species. Shath will represent crystalline beings. I'll interface as amphibious representative. Together we can activate defensive protocols. Aelith hesitated only a moment, then moved to her designated interface. If this works, we're committing an act of war using ancient weapons. The Council will demand answers. Then we'll give them answers, Renick replied. After we save lives, politics can wait. The 3 beings connected to the Arbiter network simultaneously, and throughout the debris field, weapons that had slept for thousands of years awakened with terrible purpose. The Arbiter network surged to full activation. Ancient weapons platforms that had waited millennia suddenly locked onto Harvester. Vessels with targeting precision that made modern systems look primitive. The first volley caught the enemy fleet completely unprepared. 15 ships disintegrated before they could react. All platforms responding to coordinated command, Renick reported from the central hub, his skin blazing with colors representing triumph and terror. The network recognizes our combined authorization. Defensive protocols are fully operational. Commander Aelith maintained her connection to the Arbiter systems, feeling the weight of power that had destroyed a civilization. Target military vessels only, protect the Perseverance, minimize collateral damage to debris field, she commanded. The network responded instantly, adjusting firing solutions within human precision. The Harvester fleet scattered, their formations collapsing under concentrated fire from weapons that operated on principles their scientists couldn't comprehend. Ships that moments ago had seemed invincible were now fleeing desperately, trying to escape an engagement they couldn't win. Aboard the Perseverance, David's tactical officer watched sensor readings with amazement. Captain, Harvester fleet is breaking formation, multiple vessels attempting retreat vectors. They're abandoning the battle. Don't give them time to regroup, David ordered. Pursue damaged vessels, force them out of the sector. I want them running so hard they never consider coming back. His crew pressed their advantage, the Perseverance moving with deadly efficiency through the chaos, human weapons complementing Arbiter firepower, demonstrating what coordination between old and new technology could achieve. Within 20 minutes, the Harvester fleet was routed, survivors limping toward hyperspace transition points. Patricia received confirmation of the victory from multiple sources simultaneously: Council observers, UHSF Command, and independent sensor networks. She stood before the full council assembly now, every species representative present via hologram or physical attendance. The harvesters have been operating in council space for over a decade, she explained, showing evidence UHSF had gathered during years of secret patrols. They've been stripping resources from border systems, testing defensive responses, planning eventual invasion. Earth's military monitored these activities because we recognized the pattern. Our history taught us to watch for predatory behaviors. The assembly chairman, his earlier bureaucratic confidence shaken, studied the data. Why didn't you inform us immediately? Because we feared exactly what happened today, Patricia replied honestly. Council leadership prioritizes diplomatic process over tactical necessity. While you debated protocols, people would have died. Earth chose to act first and seek forgiveness later. You violated membership terms, another representative protested. We saved lives, Patricia countered. 6 council citizens are alive because humans responded to a distress signal you didn't even detect. Dozens more are alive because we stopped a fleet that would have attacked your worlds. Yes, we maintained military forces in secret, but we used those forces to protect you, not threaten you. Aelith emerged from the arbiter structure, exhausted but resolute. She'd witnessed human courage firsthand, seen how they fought not for conquest but for protection. The Council owes humanity an apology, she announced publicly. We dismissed them as primitive because they valued military readiness, but that readiness saved us from threats we were too idealistic to acknowledge. The assembly erupted in debate, some species demanding sanctions against Earth, others arguing for integration of human military expertise into Council defense. The argument continued for hours, broadcast across every Council world, showing citizens the reality of galactic politics. Finally, a representative from one of the founding Council species, an elder statesman respected across the galaxy, spoke. Perhaps the question is not whether humans should have told us about their military, but why we created conditions where they felt they had to hide it. We built a society that values peace so highly we forgot peace requires guardians. Humanity offered to be those guardians, and we would have rejected them for it. The assembly grew quiet, considering the uncomfortable truth. They'd built their utopia on the foundation of assuming everyone shared their values, never preparing for those who didn't. I propose full integration, the elder continued. Human military forces working alongside Council defensive operations, sharing technology and tactical knowledge, learning from each other. We don't need to abandon our peaceful ideals, but we must acknowledge that maintaining peace sometimes requires strength. The vote took days, representatives, consulting home governments, debating philosophy and pragmatism, but eventually consensus emerged. Earth would maintain its UHSF but operate transparently within Council framework. Joint human-alien crews would patrol frontier regions, combining Council diplomatic expertise with human tactical capabilities. 6 months later, David stood on the bridge of a new vessel, UHSF Perseverance II, built with combined human and Council technology. The ship represented everything both civilizations could achieve together. Human durability and firepower merged with Council scientific innovation and efficiency. Commander Aelith served as his executive officer, the first non-human to hold command rank in UHSF. Renick headed tactical analysis, using his unique abilities to coordinate defense networks across multiple sectors. The crew included representatives from a dozen species, unified by shared purpose rather than shared origin. All stations report ready, Aelith announced, her feathers now decorated with both Council insignia and human military honors. Excellent, David replied. Navigation, set course for Patrol Route 7. Let's see what's waiting out there in the dark. The Perseverance II departed from Council space, heading toward the frontier where known territory gave way to mystery. Aboard the ship, humans who'd spent years protecting others in secret now worked openly with those they'd protected. Aliens who'd believed peace required only good intentions now understood it required good people willing to fight for it. Behind them, the galaxy continued its daily routines. Traders moved cargo, diplomats negotiated treaties, families raised children in safety. Most would never know how close danger had come, how narrowly disaster had been averted. But on the frontier, where darkness held threats not yet understood, humans and their council allies stood watch, different species with different strengths, united by the understanding that protecting civilization required both the wisdom to pursue peace and the courage to defend it. The harvesters would return eventually. Predators always did. But next time they would find not a divided galaxy of idealists unprepared for violence, but a unified alliance that understood peace without strength was merely surrender waiting to happen. And somewhere in deep space, other threats observed, calculated and perhaps reconsidered their plans because the galaxy had changed and humans had changed it.